Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How's everybody doing today? I hope you're all doing well. EP. Good morning, Keeper. Why are you EP, but good. I feel you. Yeah. Well, first off, thank you, Keeper, for being first. Oh, sorry, I just woke up, so I'm a little still tired. I don't get a bit higher pitch in a bit. Thank you, Keeper, for being first. Thank you, Echo, for being second. And Morale, thank you for being third. Good morning, Casey. How you doing? Good morning, Moxie, Lilith, Nix, Echo, Foxy, Azalea. Why are you gonna cry in the corner? Good morning, Eclipse. Gonna drink some liquids. Okay. So, today we're gonna be doing a little writing stream. It'll be easier if you are in the Discord. But if you're not in the Discord, that'll work fine too. We're gonna be doing some practice writing today. Practicing one of my favorite skills as a writer. And and doing some actual writing. You can also just hang out and listen to the writing if you're more into that. But yeah. How's everybody saying Gina's talking? I stream paused. Oh. Good morning, Meeks. I read all kinds of things, but today what we're going to be practicing is a thing I like to do to break through writer's block and, you know, really work on your ability to quickly write. We're going to be using a few writing prompts. We're going to take about 5 minutes each time, and we're going to write just a little short story. The goal of this is not to write well. The goal of this is to get words down on paper and to get used to kind of, you know, that stream of consciousness kind of writing. Good morning, Ari. How you doing? Also, I'm going to be sleepy, so give me a little bit while I wake up here. Alright, should we get started? Of course. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Oh, 1 second, chat. I'm gonna need to pull the timer onto this page. Give me just a second while I adjust a few things. Alright, sorry. I forgot that screen mutes me. Why are you too scared to drink water? Please drink water. And chat, if you haven't eaten breakfast and you haven't had your meds, please go take your meds and eat some food. Okay. How are you doing today, Abby? Oh, I am so tired. I'll be honest, chat. So this morning I was trying to wake up early. I went to sleep early, as I do on days like this. And my goal was to wake up early. I was going to, you know, get up, work out, have a good early morning breakfast. But all night I had nightmares the entire night. So every hour I'd wake up. And eventually I was just like, well, I can finally get some good sleep. So let me sleep. And then I woke up and it was 3:10, so didn't have much time to actually get stream started. You don't want me to choke you? What? Oh, you don't want to choke on water. Sorry. Of course, Foxy. Okay. Let's do this. I always need cuddles. It's true. No, I'm doing great. I hope you're doing good. All right, chat. We're gonna get started here. So this is gonna be easy. If you'd like me to read your writing, definitely you may want to join the Discord, we'll do this here. After we do the writing, if you post your writing in the Discord, I can read it out loud on stream. Or we can try to link me here. We'll see. We're going to start with the first writing prompt. So you all can just see how this one works if you want, or you can join me. All right, chat. Here is the first writing prompt. We'll go ahead and pin... The pin? Wait a second. Pin. Oh no, it's not pinning. Wait a second, I'm gonna try this. Okay, that works, but I can't pin myself? What the... what is going on? Oh no, come on. Yeah, I am hitting the pin button and it's just not letting me pin it. I'm trying to pin the prompt. Okay, 1 second. Let's see if I can go in. No, I don't want the Discord link pinned. I want my prompt pinned. Yeah, let's see if I can do this through twitch.tv instead. Let's see what's going on here. OBS has been acting weird lately. Okay, I'm gonna try this. Hydrate, thank you for the hydrate. We're gonna do this, then we're gonna do that. Perfect, okay. Alright, chat. So here's how we do this. Write down the prompt at the top of your page, if you use a Google Doc or whatever. I'll give you about a minute here to write it down. Oh, a hydrate redeem. Thank you for the hydrate. And a kiss. Mwah. Okay. And now that the writing is done, I'm always up at this time. And okay, if you got it written down, you ready? 3, 2, 1. Start writing. Mm-hmm. All right, Flutie. You be good. Oh, Foxy. Foxy, sweetie. You're such a good girl. Mm-hmm. We're almost there, and we've reached the end. Good job, anybody who wrote, and I'm going to be actually changing my mic so y'all can hear the tippy-tappies of the keyboard. Will we write? 1 second. So the timer, we're doing writing stream today. If you'd like to join, feel free to do so. We will be doing 5-minute little writing poems. There is a writing section in the Discord, so you can post there. And I will go through and read some of the writing, okay? Good morning, Abby. Good morning, Love Mac. How you doing? I think this one should get the keyboard open. Okay. Kind of forgot my meds. Do take your meds. Make sure you're taking your meds, okay? But yes, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Let's see what I missed here, though. Zoomies aren't worth it, but zoomies are fun. Go zoom around. Good morning, Burn. Anybody else who came in while we were typing? I am sorry I missed. Okay. So basically, here's how this went. 5 minutes to write, and I will start with mine first. The prompt was, he was terrified of small spaces, and she knew. She had to. Wait, she had to have known. That was the only reason he could imagine all the little spaces she took him to. Elevators, closets with clothes pushing it on all sides, crowds, so many damn crowds. She always had her excuses each and every time. Well, of course we need to take an elevator. It's 13 floors. Or, honey, that's just your closet. You're the one who put so much into it. And crowds? Well, there's crowds everywhere. But he saw the gleam in her eye, the malice she hid there. It had to be something, right? His therapist said he was crazy. Well, of course she hadn't used those words. You couldn't say it, but then he realized it. The therapist was in on it. Why else would she have moved her office to a higher floor, a smaller space, cheaper, rent-controlled? Bah, they all hated him. He had to find a way to defend himself. What was it his wife had said? Dogs. She'd been bitten at a young age. Well then, he'd see how she felt. When he brought home the biggest, meanest-looking dog, the reactive one that twitched at even the slightest fast movement. She'd see what it felt like to be afraid, see what he went through every fucking day. She'd learn, and maybe more. Enjoy your zoomies. But yes, there's my writing, my little off-the-cuff writing. And remember, the goal of this is to write as quickly as you can. Top of the head, top of the brain. Why not? Yes, stories and writing. Post it in stories and writing. If you'd like me to read it. All right. You ready? And this is Keepers. What's up, Abby? Oh, she knew. Gods, how she knew he was terrified, and she lavished in it. The thought of him stuck in all these small spaces. She delighted in his fear, fed off it, for it was what got her off. It was her bread and butter. She hated him so much that she wanted to see him squirm for all the things he'd done to her. To see a man like him, so strong, so level-headed, become so incredibly stupid when it came to small spaces. It was enough to make her laugh. Help you out, she asked. Now why would I do that? Each word has its own point of punctuation as she looks down on this man with a vicious smirk across her face. Oh, how she loves this torment. How she thrives on his demise. You said you'd go and get it. Now go. And with that, she shoves him into a small space and listens to the grown man scream out in absolute horror. I like that. Oh, Abby, are you okay? Make sure you clean up anything that happened. Take it easy. Well done, Keeper. Well done. I like it a lot. You did good. Remember, the goal is not to think about the writing. The goal is just to write. You want to just write. I use the most dangerous writing app, which is a thing that will delete your writing if you stop writing. But Abby, I hope you didn't get hurt too badly, okay? It's fine. All right. Let's do the next one. And this is just what we're going to do this morning. We're going to do some practice writings. Get used to it. And we're going to keep going. Off the cuff writing. I believe in you all. Good morning, Nova. How are you doing? Okay. We're going to see if we can generate a new prompt. That's a good one. Perfect. And these can be any kind of story. The way I like to do the stories is I always use the first line of the prompt as the start of my story. But it goes, well, I'm terrible. I'm absolutely useless. What do you mean you're useless? You're fine. You're totally fine. Okay. Resetting the timer. Thank you for the hydrate. And thank you for the stretch. I can't draw. Good morning. All right, chat. There is your prompt. Please write it down. She felt for the lock in the dark. We'll give you here a little minute before we get started. And hopefully you'll be able to hear the tippy taps. Wait, we're going to test something real quick. You ready? Tell me if you can hear my keyboard. Can you all hear that? Perfect. Okay, then you'll be able to hear my keyboard while I'm typing. Making the candy tie. Okay. Oh, Neeks, would you like me to read your writing, or did you do a writing prompt? I still have time to read yours if you did one. Thank you for the lurk, Badosai. Okay. Now, if you've written down the writing prompt, we're going to get started. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, there we go. Another little writing prompt done. Hope you got the writing out you wanted. Good morning, good morning, good morning. So real quick, if you'd like me to read it, please post it in the stories and writing of your, of the Discord. But good morning, Amy. How you doing? We're doing a writing stream this morning. We're doing a little practice writing stream. Hello, Callie. Callie can't hang out while I do chores. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope everybody's doing well, and thank you for the stretch. I think I already did that one, though. I need to actually go back to my half-planned part. Yes, everybody should do writing. By the way, this is a reminder that in November, we are going to be doing NaNoWriMo, where we spend time trying to write a full book, writing every single day. I'll be monitoring y'all progress, so you know, we'll see if we can do that. Let's see. Thank you for the alert, Kendra. You have a good sleeps. Moxie, I'm glad you adopted. And Amy, how you doing? Good morning, Jana-chan, or Jana-chan. How you doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome. No winner this time. All right. So, as always, we're going to start with doing reading my writing. For the writing prompt, she felt for the lock in the dark. It had always been there, every time she reached for it. The long hallway with no light. At its end, she'd gotten used to fumbling for it, so she knew the way her hand moved. It should have been there. The cold metal, the wood door texture she didn't even have to think about. How many steps had it been? Had she miscounted? No, she never did. 10 steps almost exactly, with a little awkward half step at the end. That's where her bedroom was. But this time it had been less, hadn't it? One less step, and the wood. It hadn't been the rough peeling paint texture she had expected. It had been, well, it hadn't been right. Cold, clammy, feelings of bits of hair, but it stayed still as she moved her hand where the knob should have been. It hadn't moved, or twitched, or even... But it breathed. The mass, it breathed a steady wheezing. How hadn't she heard it before she entered the dark space? How had she gone, so set on her memorized movements? She wanted to scream, wanted to run, but it hadn't moved, hadn't reacted. Maybe it was her brain that was wrong, playing tricks. Maybe she just turned the handle like she always did. Maybe, but it wasn't there. No, why would it have been? A hand was waiting there, and as she went to turn it, it slowly curled its fingers around, and she screamed. There you go. A short little story, written in 5 minutes. Totally fine, Jana. That's totally fine. Hi, Jean. How are you? Sorry, I was at church. You totally didn't come home in a short dress, even though it's 4 degrees. Oof, it sounds awful. I hope it's not too cold for you. But yes, chat, what did you think? Did you like that? And next we have Keeper's writing. Keeper. She felt for the lock in the dark, hands sweaty, shaking. Her heart was racing as she tried to keep her breathing even. She knew he was right behind her. She had to get out as fast as she could. But had the damn locks been changed since the couple had checked in? She knew that they shouldn't have trusted that crazy couple at the front desk. She knew that her and her boyfriend should have continued to the actual town. But here she was, feeling around this damn lock to make sure that the key would still work. But, fuck, she dropped the key. She leaned down to go search for it, and that's when she heard the footsteps now growing closer towards her direction. She couldn't waste any more precious seconds. She had to quickly get the key and then get the hell out of this room. There was no more wasting time. Thankfully, her fingers brushed over the cool metal of the key, and she picked it up. But it wasn't before she heard the door next door open. She had to get silent, dead silent, and move quietly to reach out. She moved towards the wall, heart pounding, door slamming open, a man with an axe in his hand. She felt for the lock in the dark. I like that. Alright, Gangsta, if you'd like me to read it, please post it in story and writing in the Discord. For those of you not in the Discord, we will drop the link here. Boop-a-doop-a-doop. Mm. Mm-hmm. And there's the Discord. But also, if you're not part of the Discord and would like to post a writing anyways, you can also post it in the chat here. Just put at LuckyJene when you post it, and I will read it. Okay, Neeks, are you ready? Are you ready for this? And good job, Keeper. I like yours a lot. She felt for the lock in the dark and slipped. Panic surged through her as she fell upon the wet cobble floor. This couldn't be happening. She clawed at the door in desperation. She had fought so hard to escape. There was no way she was back to where she'd started. Then she heard it, the sound that haunted her every waking moment, strangled her with terror in her sleep, and whispered curses in her ear when she was in a daze. But she had loved him. Why? Why would he do this to her? All she ever did was take care of him, or so she had thought. But in reality, she was his greatest tormentor. Her love had smothered him into hatred, restricted him like a snake slowly squeezing within its grasp. Why'd you say no, question mark? Why did you say no, question mark? Oh, gotcha. Well, you did really good. I liked your writing. You did very well. I'm proud of you. Good job, Ninx. Good job. No, am I going off the screen here? I should adjust a little bit. 1 second. Okay. Good job, everybody. That's fair. All right. I do like writing. I do write a lot of stories. I'm working on a book. I'm working on 2 books. But I'm looking forward to November so that we will be doing a lot more books. I slept awfully last night. So here, let me get the next writing prompt ready for everybody. So actually, I'm writing a adventure fantasy story, which I'll talk about in just a second once I post this prompt here, and I can talk to you all about my writing, actually. Okay, here's the next writing prompt. Please write it down, and we'll talk about my writing a little bit. All right, bye, Neeks. Have a good one. We're doing writing prompts. If you'd like to join the writing prompts, please let me know. Feel free to do so. Okay. So, Talking about my writing, I'm currently writing 2 stories. One is about a detective who helps an orphan boy save a friend of his. It's a lot more in-depth than that. I'll talk about it more at one point. And the other story I'm writing is about a woman named Nebula Ashton, who is a thief for good. And she gets hired to steal a thing that turns out to be magic and accidentally enters a world of magic. I like to write a lot of stories. I also write a lot of horrors, short stories, and some thrillers. Not like Robin Hood, but I know what you mean. More of people come to her, hire her when people take something from them that they shouldn't have. For instance, one woman had a painting that belonged to her, and her ex-boyfriend took it because he just hated her. Another one, it's like having like, oh, what's the word I'm looking for? Patented information of medicines being stolen. And when she gets hired to find this other thing, things go wrong. But it's a lot of fun. I have some of the early parts written. I might post them sometime. Okay. Chat, so for this one, if you've not written down the prompt yet, please do so. And I'm going to get the timer started in just a few seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Just write. Remember, the point of this is just to write. It doesn't have to be good. It doesn't have to be planned. Just write. It gets our brain flowing. It gets you to come up with new ideas. 3, 2, 1, go. And we are done. You can post to the Discord if you're not part of the Discord, or you're having difficulty joining the Discord. You can also post here in chat and just at me. You can just do at LuckyJene if you post it here in the chat, if it lets you. You might have to do it in more than one part. But yes, the Discord is here, and if you can't join the Discord, you can post here and just at me, okay? Your brain just couldn't process the prompt. Well, you're not supposed to process the prompt. You're supposed to just write. There is no processing needed, just writing. As you write, your brain will fill in spaces, and you'll get better and better at coming up with anything on the spot. For instance, are you ready, chat? I did this one a little bit different. Oh, why shouldn't they help themselves after the way they'd been treated? So, it had been a vacation, a honeymoon, and it was supposed to be perfect. So perfect. They had events planned, they'd booked a couple's massage, a boat ride, walking tours, vineyard, horseback riding. God, how excited they had been. And when the travel package came out to be much cheaper than they expected, well, of course they were ecstatic to go, but that's when things had changed. The stupid front desk lady said, "Oh, I'm sorry, we had to cancel your ride, and we're sorry, but the boat captain just called," and it was like they were all out to get them. Bunch of bastards. She tried every one of her usual tricks, yelling, screaming, crying, but no matter what, they just wouldn't budge. She'd even tried calling the cops. That usually worked, but even the cops had disagreed with her. What do you want us to do? Arrest the rain? They had treated her so poorly, hadn't they? So when she saw the front desk lady gone and the keys to the boat just sitting there, she thought, why shouldn't they help themselves? After the way they'd been treated, she was sure the monsoon season couldn't be that bad. And there you go. A little bit of writing. Hopefully that was the goal there. But yes, if you'd like me to read your writing, you can please post it here, just either in the chat or in the Discord. And yeah. But how'd you all feel about that one? Not as thriller as the last. A more casual writing. Some of these writing prompts are going to be a lot more difficult for you really to kind of embrace and think of. Your headache's killing you. I'm sorry to hear that. What's going on? You liked it? I'm glad you liked it, Echo. I'm glad you liked it. Oh, perfect. We have echoes here. Echo, you ready? I'm going to read it. Remember, that's the best thing to do. If you can't process it, just start typing. Just start typing. Why shouldn't they help themselves? Oh, that's fair. Yeah, we're doing a story writing practice. Revenge. It is what drives him from time to time. Years of torment and pain at the hands of many would-be made right today in the name of himself and his friends. The plan was simple. Everyone would be at the high school's very first reunion. Only 5 years after graduation. It's early for a reunion, but he'd been the one to plan it. He worked with his friends and made sure those they hated would be in attendance for his plan. While they could commit acts of violence, as many would assume of some victims of bullying, they were above that. Both of them merely believed these people should pay for their suffering, quite literally. Everyone would shuffle into the old stomping grounds with music bumping in the background and the murmur of conversation. The coat and the bag check where he stayed is is what no one would pay much attention to. One by one, each wallet, credit card, money clip, coin purse, and object value was casually slipped into a bag for himself. By the time everyone was inside chatting, he was already leaving with a bag, hopping into his friend's car, and off they went. I like that. I like that. That was clever. A different take on it than I took. I like it. You did very, very well, Echo. And thank you for the follow. I can't believe... Wait. 950? What do you mean 950? When did we get to 950? But good job, Echo. Good job. I like this. Mm-hmm. I just heard it. I stopped it. Don't worry. That's my backup alarm in case everything else has gone wrong. But thank you so much for the follow. Thank you. In just 50 more, we'll hit 1,000, which has been less than 3 weeks. Oh, I forgot to change the writing day streak, I think. How many days has it been? Good morning, Vanya. 7, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. It is 18. 18 days. Nice. All right, if anybody else would like me to read their writing, please post it. Meanwhile, we'll go get another prompt. Remember, the goal of this is not to think, not to even understand the prompt. You can use it in any way. Enjoy your lunch, Moreau. Just to be inspired. How are you doing? Oh no, I ate you. When did I eat you? Next writing prompt. What do you mean I ate Vanya? Why would I eat Vanya? Explain it to me. When he lifted... Wait, I miswrote. Shit. Good morning, Big Billy. How you doing? I thought your birthday was yesterday. Well, happy birthday, Big Billy. There we go. When she lifted his head, she barely recognized him for the bruises. Oh, no, I was right the first time. It's when he lifted his head. Damn it, chat. I was right the first time. All right, when he lifted his head, she barely recognized him for the bruises. There we go. We're good. All right, we'll give you a little bit of time to think to get your start. You slept all day. I hope you enjoyed your sleep. I don't know when I ate Vanya. Oh, we're about to start an ad though in 5 minutes, so we're gonna wait for the. You want? Fuck it. We'll get started right now. You ready, chat? That way we can beat the ads. All right. 5. Thank you for the 2 bits. I appreciate it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you for the biddies. All right, time. Keeper, I have my own timer running. That goes a little bit longer. I have a prompt that will, if I quit, no. Keeper, I'm giving everybody a few extra seconds. I quit typing a while ago. I'm using a prompt that will actually will delete my writing if I stop writing. But I want to make sure people have a little bit of extra time to finish their last sentences. All right, you want me to read this in a southern voice? Yeah, fuck it, let's do it. God damn. All right, here we go. When he lifted his head, she barely recognized him for the bruises. Honestly, she was amazed he could lift his head at all. Not that she was sure it had even been intentional. All day he had been bragging. Did you know I almost went pro? He had claimed the Olympics had wanted him. Asked him to be part of the German team. And I'm not even German. She hadn't corrected him. Told him there were trials and competitions to even be selected for an Olympic team. She just nodded and listened. She'd curse out her mother for setting up the blind date in the first place. I mean, who picks skiing for a first date? What if she hadn't been as skilled as she was? He had insisted on taking the hardest slope, hadn't listened to a single word of her protest, so she had shrugged, gone along with it. It was obvious he had wanted her to struggle, to swoop in and save her when things went wrong. She could only laugh when he began to tumble, and now at the bottom of the slope, standing above his broken body, she could only laugh again. Though, she tried to stop herself. He just looked so stupid there. Guess you'd think twice before bragging next time. If there would even be a next time. And there you go. That's my little writing. Oh, I'm sorry you had to go work, Moxie. I hope you get some sleep. Get some relaxing. Chat, if you'd like me to read your story, you can either post it here in the chat, or and at me, or do whatever you want. But I hope you all enjoyed that story. And now we have the sweet keeper. You ready? When he lifted his head, she barely recognized him for the bruises. But how would she be able to recognize him? It had been quite some time, and even yet, she was coming to see him in the hospital after a major car wreck. As she walked into the room, he lifted his head and turned around, his face black and blue from the car accident he was in. He had been smart, wore his seatbelt, but that didn't stop his airbag from punching him in the fucking face. She wasn't sure what to make of it. Why did he call her, of all people, to come and see him? It wasn't as if they had gotten along or anything like that. No, they hadn't spoken to each other in years. The only reason why she came to his call was because she was his older sister, and hey, isn't that what older siblings do? Not bad. I like it. Good job. Good job, Keeper. You did well. So how y'all liking this? I feel like a kid in a story time during kindergarten. I love it. I'm glad you like it. It's a lot of fun, just doing little readings, little writings, little practicing. I just wanted to do this bit today to, flex your writing muscles a little bit. Awesome job, Keeper. Well done. Nah, it's totally fine. I mean, writing takes practice. It's most definitely a skill. All right, we're about to start an ad break, but we might change to something different after this. We'll see. You ready? I'll see you all in about 5 minutes. Wait, did the ad break start? Are we in ads right now? There we go. All right, be right back. No, you know what kind of ads I get? The ads I get are half the time in German or Spanish, which is really weird to me because I live nowhere near Germany and I live nowhere near where I should be getting Spanish-speaking ads. I don't know if my ads have some weird kind of opinion about me, but yeah. I don't speak Spanish. I'm sorry I scared you. Oh my god, I'm just watching cooking fails right now. Oh, this is so bad. Wait, do you all want to watch some cooking fails? We're gonna watch some cooking fails together. Give me a second. Hello. Okay. Okay, let's start this over. I mean, these are bad. These are bad. Here, we'll do this. All right, you ready? Actually, you know what? We're just gonna... Just in case we... All right, here we go. You ready?
Catch it.
They're just all... Oh god!
They're super.
They're just all so bad.
Oh, mom.
I don't know why she did that. Or who's carrying soup in a bucket?
Catch it.
It's just, it's incredible. She's. I don't know why. Who slurps an egg? Whose first reaction to, oh my god, I cracked the egg wrong, it's on the ground, is slurping? I mean, goddamn. Oh, it makes me feel sick. And the stupid, like, what was she doing with the, what, why did she drop an entire freaking gourd into a bowl? What was her plan there? Do you want to, y'all want to swap to some reaction cooking fails? Okay, you know what, we can watch some reaction cooking fails. We'll watch, we'll take a break from the writing here and do some reaction cooking fails, if everybody's up for it, okay? God, to slurp the egg. Okay. Nice way to round out our day, huh? We only have about 30 minutes left on stream anyway, so yeah, we'll finish off with some cooking fails. All right, give me a second while I swap up the screens here. Boop. I know, right? We've been going for an hour and a half so far. Good morning. How are you doing there, Chisel? Cheese, how you doing? No, come back. We're gonna watch some cooking fails. Time goes really quickly when you're doing stuff. All right, perfect. I think this one looks great. 4 minutes and 20 seconds. I don't have genie emotes yet. Well, you gotta sub to me. You gotta sub to me. It's the way it works. Good morning. How have you been? Boop. All right, chat, you ready? You're good, just tired? Well, hopefully you can enjoy some cooking fails with us. We're gonna do boop. We're gonna go whoop. And we're gonna go full screen. It's time. Haven't slept because my friend's insomnia. My friend? Oh, your friend insomnia. I thought you meant your friend's insomnia. I would be pissed if my friend was like, hey, yo, stay up with me because of my insomnia. That would be an end of a friendship right there. All right, you ready? You ready? Chat, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? He's putting his hand into an oven. The oven's going to fall over. I'm ready. No, you're not waking me up. What is he doing? What? Oh my! What? What? Oh God! Perfect. Don't put the plastic. These guys are amazing. Why are they giving the child a... Wait. I need to turn that up. I need you all to hear how he just screamed. We're gonna listen to this again. Somebody needs to record the scream because it's perfect. Why he scream like a cartoon character? Also, why is he opening up the ramen? Who is opening? Why was he opening instant ramen? You pour the water in the cup. Oh shit! I don't know what noise I just made. What the fuck? What was she playing? No. What was she planning on doing? What was she? Her plan was, hey, I have a hot pancake on the pan. Let me go fucking hit the pancake at my friend's face? No water, don't do water. Oh! No, she didn't try to flip the pancake. She did it sideways. She tried to hit the pancake at her friend. Chat. Here's a reminder. Do not put water on an oil fire. Why? Because if the oil is burning, the water is just going to make the oil go everywhere. And same with the fire. Do not put water on oil fires. Smother it. Smother it. Put a lid on it. Put a lid on it. Please. Please put a lid on it. I don't want you to set yourself on fire. Okay? No water. No water. I've had relatives who have burned their arms because of stupid shit like that. So don't do that, okay? Wait. Oh, God. I've done that. I have done that. I have absolutely done that where I had the cutting board on the edge and this.
نهار اسود يا جدعان والله انا بالمنظر ده هسقط. لا انا هشرب بقى كوبايه القهوه دي.
It's gonna break.
وده بخلص ماده ولا اتنين.
The glass is gonna break.
يا رب يا رب والنبي يا رب. يا رب طب لو هسقط اديني علامه يا رب. يا نهار اسود.
Yeah.
يا نهار اسود.
Oh my word. That is hot cheese on that man's face. That is hot cheese in that man's eye. That is... Oh my... Oh. Oh, poor man.
Тарелку. И не знаете, куда деть эту крышку. Берете вот так вот просто. И...
Wait,
Вот так вот просто.
what is... wait! What the fuck?
Okay. Chef. Solo.
Why were why the hell it popping? I don't know if you microwave it, that'll happen. Don't microwave your eggs, that'll happen. But I mean, there's a pan there, and they're in the pan, so I don't know. Maybe they just overcook them.
Okay. Chef. Solo.
Don't use metal stuff. Scream. All right, here we go. Honey. All right, chat. We're gonna walk you through this one too. Don't put frozen food into oil. Do not put frozen food into oil. Because if you put frozen food into oil, guess what's on frozen food? Water. And that will happen. They poured water on it. Don't turn the water on. God damn it. Don't pour coal into hot. Amazing. Amazing chat. Incredible. Okay. That was fun. How's everybody doing? Just want to check in with everybody. All doing good still? you all existing? Everyone alive? Did you take that video? Of course they did. I'm dying of laughter. Good, good, good. Proud of you, proud of you, proud of you. It's a good way, I think. Okay. 1 second, I need to check on something here. You all be patient. Behave yourselves. Today's been an interesting day. It's been a lovely little day. I've been having a good time. We've done writing. We've watched some fails. We're going to be doing something this afternoon. What are we going to be doing? I don't know. Actually. Chat, you'd think that I'd have my own schedule memorized by now. But no. I do not. Let's see. Gene's verification, servers, roles, announcements. Where's my schedule? Oh, shit, we're doing 7 Days to Die. Apparently I'm doing 7 Days to Die with Twitch integration. That'll be interesting. I hope that goes well. I haven't set it up, so... I'm gonna be allowing you all to fuck with my, things. Okay, 1 second, I need to... Oh, Lilith, I'm glad I've made your morning nice. I'm glad I've made your morning nice. All right, here we go. You ready? We're gonna do a little bit more. Boop. What did she do? Wait. Don't blow it. Why is she blowing on it? Why is she blowing on it?
Oh yeah. Chicken Alpha.
Man. Oh yeah. That man had not gotten any sleep. He's so sad. Oh. Oh no, that's... Oh no. Why would she hit him? Oh, oh, that poor man. Oh. People need to stop flipping things. No, stop flipping. The pan. Yeah. Who's letting the little girl crack eggs like that? And there it goes.
I kind of want your drink right now.
What the... Hi. Thank you. Have a good one, Twink Star Boy. Thanks for stopping by. Oh. And thank you for the follow. Oh, that poor man. These ones aren't as good. We need a better one, chat. We need a better one. I need better fails. There we go. Best food fails ever. We're expecting this one. This one better be good. Back from lunch? How's your lunch? I do think it's funny. Wait, is this one we just watched? No, we didn't watch this one. Okay. I do think it's funny that you leave for lunch from stream and then you come back after your lunch break. All right, here we go. Here we go. Wait a second. We saw that one already. What's for lunch, by the way? That's me. Goulash. Oh, I love goulash. She was doing so good, too. Oh, that poor girl. that fire was a paid actor. Here comes the pepper. Ruined that man's breakfast. There's fire. There was a perfect pizza. Why are you flipping your food over water? 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 What were you expecting to happen? Oh, wait. Oh, enjoy. Well, come chill. Come chill. I hope you enjoy your chilling here. You've been chilling. I thought the horse was screaming. I thought the horse was... In the water bucket. Aww. Gold shit. No! That's propane! That's propane! That is propane. That scared the hell out of me. Why are you standing on the fish?
Seriously? Seriously? You gonna stand there on the food with your boots?
What the fuck? We saw that one already. Who stands on fish like that?
Dylan, that was all you, buddy.
What? No. Don't blame that on Dylan. What was the plan here? What was the plan here? What is the plan here? Okay. No. Dylan, that was all you, buddy. You have the man with a fucking pancake on a spatula. I don't know how far away from there to get the pancake. This isn't gonna go well. There's no way this goes well. This is stupid.
Dylan, that was all you, buddy.
Don't blame Dylan for that. Rude. Sorry, I've justice for... Oh, that's gone. The play should have... He should have moved forward. Ah, that one's funny. I feel bad for that. Justice for Dylan. Justice for Dylan, chat.
Let's see your shirt.
Well. See there? Good, perfect. That's... Oh.
How does this happen to me?
No, honey, darling. What do you mean, why does this happen to you? How long has this bit started? Since 5. Why would you would you do this? Why would you do this? That's a cutting board. Why does this happen to me? What did you think would happen? Wait a second.
Why does this happen to me?
That's not a pizza. That's chicken tenders. That's chicken tenders. That's not a pizza.
I just wanted to make it be.
Take a sip and calm down. Exactly. Thank you for the hydration. Oh, Zalia, come here. Mwah. White boy can't use chopsticks. Wait.
One more. Last one.
The claps.
The hottest chili in the world, the Carolina Reaper. I'm gonna do a spoonful taste test for you.
Oh no, don't do this. Why would you?
Crack this one. We're doing the honey mustard IPA. There you go. You ready?
Alright, this is what happens when you put spaghetti squash in the microwave.
Why would you?
Is that what happens?
3 minutes to soften it so I could cut it.
Why? Why would you put a Don't put a gourd. Don't put a gourd in the microwave. Come on, people. Okay, chat. I said I'd do a cooking stream. I don't know when I said I'd do a cooking stream, but I will do a cooking stream. Okay. You lost a schön popping. I don't. Who were they expecting? Oh, it's gonna break. Wait for it. There it goes. There's a reason why there's a liquid limit. What? Stop throwing food at the poor kid. Why are we throwing food at the kid? That's a grasshopper. I'm never getting an airport salad. I am never getting an airport salad. Okay, well, no. I don't want to watch this one. Look at that. I look so pretty. No. It's all gonna be gone. Here it comes. And here's what, okay, chat, you see his hands? His hands are underneath it. He's gonna need to put this on the table and needs to put this flat. So he's gonna need to slide it on there. But his hands are at the wrong spot. So now he's gonna put it down, he's gonna tilt it forward because his hands are there. because there's no other way to get the board on the thing because he didn't think about this. And boop, there it goes. There it fucking goes. So angry. Well, that's gone.
Delicioso cake is. Oh my god. Oh.
Okay, so
Chat, I'm never eating salad again.
and you have to make sure that it's what's going on? You have to make sure that there's water in that thing.
But what's going on here? Why is there water on the bottom? What the f...
Cook. It's supposed to be a cookie.
What?
You know, like fry, but also it'll be good.
Honey child, that's glass. Honey, why do you think that would work? What is wrong with you?
I think I put too much in the pot.
Okay, so I'm on my lunch break right now, and Dave's downtown is doing drone delivery, and the drone is literally coming up to my window with the food.
Wait.
Okay.
Okay.
No. Oh. It's like $14.
Yay, macroplastics. Don't you just love macroplastics? Well, this is why you don't make a wet floor in a fucking kitchen.
Look at this. I can hold it with a napkin because it's hot, but let me just
It's hot. It's hot. You just said it's hot. Why are you shirtless? Amazing. Amazing.
A big cucumber. Goody.
That ain't no cucumber.
Cucumber there. Lemon.
That ain't a cucumber. Chad, is that a cucumber?
Oh look, this cucumber's red.
Ma'am. Goofy motherfucker.
They really shrunk down.
Mom has time. Okay, so take a strawberry, put it in an egg slicer.
And watch the egg slicer break. No, don't give it. That's true. That's fair. Man forgot to take his meds. Oh, don't overload it. Why are you doing this? You deserve that. You deserve that.
Am I in a stressful situation? Is this situational? Sense no stress.
Well, chat, we're coming up here on the end. Wait, go back a little. Which one do you want me to go back to? Wait, this one looked like your bro? Or this one? This guy? Oh, okay. Hey, we're gonna watch this, and he's gonna turn. Is that your bro? Okay. Let's meet chat. No, chat, we found Vanya. Vanya! You're just in there. Hi, Ice Knight. How you doing? Yep. Thank you for the follow, Goth Elf Queen 420. I like your name. How you doing? They just feeding deer. Amazing. What? Empty package. Oh, a poor child. I'm doing great, actually. I'm doing very great. And she burns herself. GG easy.
Oh my god.
And she sets on the fire alarm.
Okay, hold up. My mistake.
Hey, look at all that smoke. Oh, God. Look at all this thing. Honey bunch.
Fuck, I don't know what to do, guys. I don't know what to do.
Don't do a cooking stream. Don't do a cooking stream, Hi Turtle, if you don't know how to handle a fire, okay? Don't do a cooking stream if you don't know how to handle a fire. Amazing, 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 amazing. Well, guys, this was fun. We got some writing done today. We did some lovely, lovely writing. We watched some stuff. Yeah, suffocate the fire. Suffocate me, please. Haha. It's been good. It's been a good morning, but I do have work, unfortunately. Today is not Saturday. Today is Friday, meaning that I need to... Celia, you're free from work, and I need to come to an end of stream. But I hope you all had a lovely, 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 lovely time. Exactly. A kitchen how-to taped somewhere would be amazing. What? Hey, don't call me out like that. Don't call me out like that. How could you? How dare you? We're gonna find somebody to raid into, so let's see who we have. We have Dark Souls playing Fate Trigger. Want me to raid Shrimp? Fine, you know what? We can raid into Shrimp. We'll raid into Shrimp this morning. Just for you all. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, Robin. I do have to go to work. But you all, it was a lovely, lovely, lovely... Don't ping that! Stream. We are going to be doing some 7 Days to Die later today with Twitch being involved. And I will see you all tomorrow, or today, 4 p.m. MST, okay? All right, you lovely, 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 lovelies. You behave yourself, you be good. For all of you new people, love seeing you. And for all of you old people, God, you're old. Mwah. Mwah, 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 mwah. Say hi to the shrimp for me. Boy.